just couldn't live it.
In the acts of service, or
Yes.
just trying to understand the world, and by just being brave and go out there, that's how you were blazing the soul, in a sense,
Yeah.
that you were
Yeah.
blasting your pre-existing notions about who you are and what the world is like.
You have to invent you. Otherwise, somebody else is. Be you, everyone else is taken. But if you don't know who you are, you just say, oh, I'm a star. And no, you're not. You got to do the work first. Who are you? And there's a lot of people who became famous, but you see them, they turn into drug addicts, alcoholics, they lose all their money because they didn't do the work. I've worked with so many people on all these sets, so many big actors, so many stories. And the ones that did the work are the ones that are steady and are climbing up, that you see are still married, that you see have morals, that you see really pick and choose who they hang out with and what they do. You don't see them in the tabloids all the time. They avoid that. They go live in like Idaho or something, or Wyoming, and they stay out of, they just do the good work and leave, do their little press tour, what they're obligated to do, then goodbye. Then they're in hibernation for a couple of years. Sandra's done that lately. If you've noticed, you don't see her at all in the news. And now she has a big movie. She'll do the press junket, then she's gone again, back to New Orleans, and, just being a mom and hiding out because she doesn't want the publicity, because she's done the work. In order to be rich and happy, you have to have your soul blazed. You really have to go out and do the hero's journey. Who am I? What is it I actually want? And if you don't know, step one is to do volunteer work. Once you start giving back, you start opening up and meditating. I meditated like a fiend before. I still do, but not like before. Before it was like an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours a day. And I would go travel so much alone and just sit in these beautiful places, and in Kyoto and Nepal, all these like ashrams, and just watch, talk to rocks, hug trees, talk to ants, talk to anything that was there. I would just like, what's your story? Are you real? Who are you? Trees. They say nature has all the answers. God, they said, think, and, like totally all these great writers, Gary Zukav, everyone says the same thing. All the answers are there. You don't need a guru. You don't need a teacher. Ask and you shall receive. So I'm going, okay, I'm asking. And I think slowly, without even knowing it, because I go, oh yeah, right, or toss thoughts or messages away. But then I started getting real answers, and I started going, oh, that makes sense. Or I get aha moments, like downloads. Oh, I should write that down. That's interesting. And then I started going, oh, I need to maybe write a book. And, Gary Zukav says, when your personality is in alignment with your authentic soul, that's when miracles happen. And that's what soul blazing is. I'm trying to align your imposters, which is your personality, with your soul through exercises, through travel, through, time together. We eye gaze. When you look someone in the eyes, they can't really lie. That's why they say the eyes are the secret to your soul. You go like this and something breaks down. And that's how I got the name Soul Blazing. When I was working in prisons, I got assigned the bully of the prison on my last day there. It was a 4-day trip. And I worked with a lot of people there, a couple of dozen. The very last one was the worst bully of the whole prison, that any new people would come in, she would just terrorize them and let them know she's boss, and you listen to me, and everything you make, you have to give me a percentage of, and I'll beat you up and all that stuff. And I'm like, hi, how are you? And talking, the other ones were all, okay, great, let's talk. Because they wanted to get better. They wanted insights. And she's like, I've been in here for 23 years. There's nothing you could say or do that's going to change that. And I'm in here for life. So there's nothing you can do or change that's going to change that. So why should I change? And I'm just here because if you see a therapist or sign up for these things, when therapists or what self-help stuff comes to the prison, they get an extra privilege, they get something. So because I'm just here to get a, perk, that's it. And I'm like looking at her going, okay. And she was mean. She was bald, shaved, head. She had a snake tattoo coiled around her scalp that went down her like, bulging biceps. And it was just like intimidating. She's like, who do you think you are? Someone like you who thinks you could fix me. You have no idea who I am. There's no way you could relate to my life story, growing up in the ghetto and all that. So I'm like, okay, listen. And I called her Bella. Listen, you have something in you. Let me look in your eyes. And I said, you have the devil in you. And that's why you're this and that. And I just went down on her. And I was kind of being the Mathena that I learned without knowing what I was doing, what I learned from childhood, just trying to make her cry, wake her up. And then she's like, you can't talk to me. And I'm like, slow down, slow down. It looks like she was going to jump me. And I'm like, ah, the guards are around the room, but I'm like, ah, still was very dangerous. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, just bear with me. And we started talking. And then I'm going, hang on. She's like, what? I go, I have the devil inside me too. We all do. We all have good and evil. We all do this. I may not have murdered someone, but I certainly hurt people emotionally, or I've done bad things, because that's we're on Earth School. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience. So what you did was the extra mile, but I'm sure you had your reasons for it because of how you grew up. That's normal for you. My dad grew up in Iraq. He pulled guns on people. He did this, he did, because that's what he knows. He doesn't mean it's just, that's what you do to protect family. That's what you do to, everyone does what they're brought up to do. That's why people beat up their spouse. That's what I saw my parents doing their parents. So I said, you're just imitating what you knew, but once your soul is blazed, you'll be different. Then she's like, well, I hate your stupid briefcase. I'm like, I hate my briefcase too. I said, I brought it here to impress you. I said, obviously I was wrong. That's my imposter. But listen, Bella. So I started talking to her and I said, let's hold hands. And I looked her in the eyes and I just saying, I love you. I love you. And quiet and just like that for like 2-3 minutes. And I love you. And all of a sudden she starts crying. I'm like, you could be the angel here. You could be welcoming people and showing them the ropes. You could raise money for battered women. You could do this, you could do that. And by the end of the session, she was crying and said, Lisa, you just blazed my soul. I said, Bella, you just gave me the name for my business. I'm not a life coach. I'm a soul blazer. I said, you said you had nothing else to give. Now with the name, it's going to help me become bigger and heal more people. So she's like, oh, sure you're going to call it that? I said, yes, in honor of you. It's going to be called Soul Blazing. Yeah. And then 6 months later, she had raised like thousands of dollars for battered women on a payphone. And then the chaplain said, what did you do to her? What happened? I go, I don't know. I guess I blazed her soul. So it's like, come back. We want you to work more and, do this, do that. Cause usually they give you a script and tell you limitations because they're dangerous people and whatever. But it's taking a chance. It was almost the same as me getting, on that bus. It's like, okay, I'm going to take a challenge here and get on that bus with her by getting in her face and mirroring her like the Mathena did to make people feel sad and hurt, to wake something up in them where they lash out so they could feel something and be present. And now I have something to work with. But it was something that could have backfired, of course. But I think when I'm talking about vibration, when you're coming from a place where people could feel that, oh, she really wants to help me. She's really on my side. It's a fine line too, because you could say, my husband used to say, oh, you could tell someone to fuck off and they go, oh my God, I love her. And I say, I love you to someone. They go, God, what an asshole, because he's got a more prickly personality. So it's all in the way you say it and walking that fine line of going, look, we're in this together. I'm here to help you. Then that they feel that you could say and get away with whatever you want, because they know it's coming from a place of love and giving a gift.
Yeah.
So I trusted that. And then when I've traveled, I've trusted that too. And that's what I was going to do with ISIS and all that stuff. I'm going to let them know, look, we're on the same team. I need to understand why you're doing this and let me help you not have to do this anymore. That was naive, but that was my goal at the time, thinking, oh, I can do that because everyone could be changed. Because after working with Bella, everyone could be changed. You have to know, they have to understand who they are and what's their potential. And they have to have at least one person care about them. If one person cares about you and says, I'm your mentor, your whole life can change. That's all we need in this world, is one person. If you don't have anyone, you have nothing to lose. And that's when you go, oh, let me go kill someone. Let me go rob someone. And you don't have any feelings because you don't have love. So if you don't have self-love, you don't allow love in, and you can't love. You push love away. So
that's an incredible story of how even just the word soul blazing came to be. That's really incredible. And then you are definitely, there's a daredevil inside of you.
Yeah.
from traveling, wanting to be kidnapped, to how you approach Bella. That's